Hello, Kansas and Western fans. Today I was going to talk about my progress on this backdrop, but upon reviewing my poll results video on Monday, I realized I pretty much said everything I was going to say in that video about how Towanda has been changed. And so basically, I guess all that's left to say for now is that you should definitely have a clear understanding of how you're going to do backdrops before you totally complete your layout, because one might have an impact on the other. And I wouldn't have figured that, but if you saw my video on Monday, I've basically changed how I want to do this entire scene because of my difficulties with making a background that will work with the scene. And I'm not upset by that at all. It's something I thought was possible, but I basically went from wanting to do a downtown scene to now I'm going to do a residential street scene that runs along the tracks, which you can see the tracks there. So I haven't yet had a chance to take a new photo of Towanda for this scene. And so there's really no update yet at this point as to how that's going to proceed. So instead of talking anything more about this, we're going to talk about something different here. If you can just hang on just a second. Instead, we're going to talk about how I've wired up for lights this next element of this Walthers Refinery kit. And you can see that flashing red light there. And I'm going to turn the lights off here in a second so you can show, it's a little easier to see. But in this kit, this part of the kit is not done yet. I still have to finish it. But the toughest part is done. And that's how I wired it up. And you can see all my Woodland Scenics gear here temporarily just sitting out to run this test. But I'm going to show you how I did that here in just a second. But first we'll turn off the lights and show you how it looks so it's easier to see. And now you can see how much brighter it is with the lights off, which for something like this, I would want to run with the lights off anyway, just to show off how the refinery lighting is coming along. And that's the pipe manifold that I've got done so far. But that turned out really well, and I'm going to show you how I did that. All right, so here we are on my terribly messy workbench. I need to work on that. But first of all, what I used is these Woodland Scenics LED nano lights that come in red. And they actually come in several different colors, and I might use some of those other colors eventually. But specifically, I got a red flashing light. And again, I think those other colors do also flash. I have to look at their catalog again. But this is what they look like in the package. And it's a 30 milliamp, which I guess was surprising because I think they're 20 milliamp lights come in this size here. And that's all there is to it, right? That's just a little tiny bit of light. That's the actual light source there, if I can get to focus a little bit. And then it's attached to a tiny little circuit board that's wrapped up in that tape there. And then I think hidden in this area is some kind of resistor or something like that that makes it flash. But anyway, I think it's a 2-foot long cable. And so what I did was I figured out in the plan, and I did skip ahead to work on this part because I thought it'd be easier than the whole refinery thing with the catwalks. So anyway, I looked ahead at the plan to figure out how I was going to run this wire. And I initially thought about running a conduit along the side of the smokestack, but with that flared out bottom part, I wasn't sure how that was going to work. And I'm glad I didn't do that, because when you assemble this thing, the smokestack sits on these two beams and has to sit on top of this longer rectangular part as these upper parts here are assembled around it. And if I'd have run conduit, obviously I would have had to pick the right side, and maybe I could have gone down that way. But with that flare out, I wasn't sure how I was going to make that work. So I decided just to run the cable down inside the smokestack, and I'll show you. You can see there, and this is not going to zoom or focus very well. That white thing there is a piece of double stick tape. That's how I've got it attached. I wasn't sure about gluing it, whether that would work, whether that would be a good idea. Just not sure about that. Maybe I wanted it removable for some reason. Again, I have limited experience using lights at all, so I just wasn't sure exactly how to approach this. So if anybody has any recommendations, please leave those in the comments for future reference for me and for others. But double stick tape seems to be working just fine. The wire is very lightweight, so it stays there. And then what I did was ran it down the smokestack first. And then this rectangular part here is hollow, so I didn't have to worry about that. but this black part here is both a ceiling and a floor. And so I had to think ahead of time and drill holes in both the ceiling and the floor to make sure that this would fit. Now, with these Woodland Scenics, these particular lights, they do come with a plug already attached. So you do have to consider that. You could consider making sure the holes are big enough that that plug would fit, which that's a little bit more than a 1/4 inch wide with that little flange at the end of the plug there, or at this part here you have to worry about. But I was able to work the wire back up light end first to get that to work. And I'm kind of sorry I didn't record the process now, but it was kind of a figure out as I go. But making sure that you have those holes drilled in advance was the big help. All that's left now is for me to drill a hole through the base, and I'll show you here in a second. You can see how I have holes here drilled in the foundation of the kit, at least for the towers that I have yet to do. On this side here is where that stack will sit, so I still have to drill a hole there down through the middle of that. I just want to make sure I have it seated in the right place. But that's how that worked out, and you already saw the results towards the beginning of this video. But for anybody else, it's been that feature, by the way, is the tallest feature on the kit, and I'll show you here in a second. Well, I was hoping so, but the kit's so tall that they couldn't get the whole thing in the photo. But I think from experience, that stack is one of the tallest features. I do have another flashing light that I'm hoping to integrate into the top of this tower. So we'll talk about how I ended up doing that. But really happy with the results so far on wiring that up to make that work. So I guess if anybody has any questions about how I did that with more detail, I'll see what I can do to help you out. Otherwise, I guess that's about it for now. Everybody have a great weekend, and thanks for watching.